You know that person who never jumps on the latest trend, the one who doesn't rush to download the new app just because everyone else suddenly is, the one who watches the hype build, the excitement spread, the urgency rise, and somehow stays still. And sometimes that person is you. And if we're being honest, you've questioned it. You've wondered whether you're missing something. Whether you're slow, whether you're stubborn, whether you're secretly afraid of change. Because when the entire crowd seems convinced and you're the only one hesitating, it can create a strange kind of isolation. You start to feel out of sync with the world. But psychology doesn't see hesitation, it sees discernment. There's a phenomenon known as herd behavior. It's deeply wired into the human nervous system. For most of history, copying the group meant survival. If everyone ran, there was probably danger. If everyone gathered resources, winter was coming. Imitation kept you alive. But modern society isn't a forest full of predators. It's an ecosystem of influence. And most trends today are not survival signals. They are emotional accelerators designed to compress decision-making. They create urgency without necessity, momentum without reflection. When you don't automatically feel pulled by that momentum, it often means something very specific about you. Your decision-making center is not externally anchored. You don't borrow certainty from the crowd. And that trait is rare. Psychologists refer to it as an internal locus of control. It means you believe outcomes are shaped more by your own evaluation than by social validation. You don't move because others are moving. You move when something makes structural sense to you. That difference seems small on the surface. But over time it separates followers from leaders, because leaders do not chase noise, they filter it. When a new idea first appears, it rarely looks powerful. It looks uncertain, unproven, sometimes even foolish. The majority resists it at first, then mocks it, then slowly adopts it, and by the time it becomes mainstream, the real advantage window has already passed. If you instinctively hesitate before attaching yourself to what's trending, it's often because your brain is scanning for durability. You are unconsciously asking, will this still matter in 5 years? Will this still make sense when the excitement fades? That isn't resistance. That's long-term orientation. You've probably noticed something else about yourself. When everyone becomes emotionally charged, you feel the need to slow down. When everyone is celebrating or outraged, you observe before reacting. When people change their opinions overnight to match the new narrative, you feel friction inside, not because you want to be difficult, but because your identity doesn't shift with public temperature. And that can feel lonely. You sit in rooms where consensus forms quickly, and you wonder how decisions can be made with so little examination. You scroll through waves of enthusiasm and think, does anyone actually believe this? Or are we just echoing each other? People may label you detached. They may call you overly analytical. They might even accuse you of lacking passion. But what they're actually witnessing is delayed conformity. And delayed conformity is one of the strongest predictors of independent leadership behavior. Research in behavioral psychology consistently shows that individuals who resist immediate group alignment tend to make more stable, strategic decisions over time because they are not optimizing for belonging. They are optimizing for accuracy. Trends are fueled by dopamine spikes. They create short bursts of reward. Participation feels good. Belonging feels safe. But dopamine-driven environments prioritize novelty over substance. If you don't feel addicted to novelty, it may be because your reward system is wired differently. You experience satisfaction through depth, not display, through mastery, not momentum. And that wiring matters. Because while trend followers gain visibility quickly, they often lose direction just as fast. Independent thinkers may grow slower, but their trajectory is self-authored. You might look at others gaining traction and wonder if you're falling behind. You might question whether speed equals intelligence. You might feel pressure to participate just to avoid appearing irrelevant. But leadership rarely announces itself loudly in the beginning. It develops quietly. Through discernment, through restraint, through the willingness to stand still while others sprint. The world often mistakes motion for progress, but not all movement is forward. If you don't follow trends blindly, it usually means your identity isn't built on external reinforcement. You don't need constant agreement to feel stable. You don't need public momentum to validate private conviction. And that psychological stability is not common. It means you can operate without constant applause. You can think without immediate affirmation. You can decide without consensus. That is cognitive independence. And cognitive independence is the foundation of leadership. Not everyone who avoids trends is a leader. Some people resist out of fear. But if your hesitation comes from analysis rather than anxiety, from evaluation rather than ego, then what you have isn't stubbornness. It's strategic autonomy. The ability to stand firm when the crowd shifts is not passive behavior. It is controlled decision-making. And in environments where narratives change daily and attention cycles reset weekly, controlled decision-making becomes an advantage few possess. So if you've ever felt slightly disconnected from hype cycles, if you've ever noticed yourself thinking longer than others before committing, if you've ever been called slow simply because you refuse to be rushed, understand this: you aren't behind, you aren't outdated, and you aren't missing the signal, you are filtering it. And the capacity to filter noise without losing direction is one of the clearest psychological indicators of leadership potential. Not loud leadership, not performative leadership, but structural leadership, the kind that builds foundations instead of chasing flashes. And in the long run, foundations always outlast trends.